Hello, today's tutorial is interim between the last and next tutorials. Basically, if you have been doing your own character for all this time, this tutorial isn't necessary for you, but if you have been doing exactly the same character as I, then today's tutorial will be useful for you. And honestly, I recommend to watch this tutorial for everyone. Because today we are talking about how to correct grease pencil objects that have been already rigged, in that way not to break the work of the rig mechanism. Of course, you can ask why I've decided to fix the grease pencil objects in the middle of the work process. And I'll answer that I looked through the reference and I didn't like the exterior of the eyelids, and now I want to change them. The main conclusion is that you always should determine character's design at the stage of reference, because correction of a character's exterior is much easier during a reference than after all has been drawn and rigged. So let's get down to business. Now I want to decrease the line of the eyelids by x-axis. Disable the visibility of the lower right eyelid, cause we are gonna work with the upper one. Select the armature and switch to the edit mode. Activate the layers of all types of bone. Our task is to decrease the line of the eyelid from the right. For this, we need to relocate some bones, which in turn will necessitate the reassignment of vertices. Hide all bones of the lower eyelid. We need to relocate the two extreme joints. Temporarily set aside the two extreme sutural bones. Relocate the joints according to the video. After that, activate the snap mode and set back the sutural bones. Well, go back to the pose mode to check the bone's condition. Now we can see that some of the deaf bones are offset from the sutural bones. This happened because we changed the location of these deaf bones in the edit mode, and computing of the stretch to constraint became wrong. So now we need to remove the stretch to constraint from all deaf bones of the upper eyelid. After that, activate the visibility of the lattice related to the upper eyelid. Select it in the object mode, then switch to the edit mode. Disable the reference and check the vertices in the groups. There are correct vertices in the groups 3, 4, 5 and 6. This is because we didn't change the location of the relevant bones. But we need to reassign the vertices for the first and second groups, because they don't correspond to the relocated bones. Remove all vertices from the second group. After that, select all vertices that correspond to the location of the second deaf bone and assign them to this group. Do the identical actions for the first group, literally reassign the vertices. And now it is time to perform the main subject of today's tutorial. Correct the exterior of the eyelid. Go to the object mode, select the upper eyelid and switch to the edit mode. Lock all grease pencil layers except the eyelid line. Select all vertices of the eyelid line that located beyond the deaf bones and delete them. After that, switch to the sculpt mode and select the thickness tool. Holding Alt key, correct the right edge of the line using this tool. After correction, lock the eyelid line layer and unlock the rest two layers. In the sculpt mode, using the grab tool, correct the shape of the eyelid according to the video. Then smooth all sharp lines using the smoothing tool. Go back to the object mode, select the armature and switch to the pose mode to see how the bones work. and they don't work at all, because previously we have removed the stretch to constraint from all deaf bones of the upper eyelid. Let's set this constraint again. Select the 7th CTRL bone, then select the 6th deaf bone. Press Ctrl-Shift-C and select the stretch to constraint. Assign this constraint to the rest deaf bones according to the video. Finally, we have returned the rig to the working condition. Maybe. Let's check it. Disable all bones layers except CTRL. Manipulate the controller of the upper eyelid. Everything seems normal, and now it is the time to rebuild the lower eyelid. Switch to the edit mode and activate all bones layers. It is possible that some bones is hidden now, so select all bones and press Alt H. Now we need to correct the location of the two extreme deaf bones of the lower eyelid. Considering that we have already corrected the bones of the upper eyelid, we can reference on their location. Temporarily hide the extra bones of the upper eyelid, cause right now we are working only with the lower. Set aside the two extreme CTRL bones of the lower eyelid. Correct the location of the two extreme joints according to the video. After that, set back the CTRL bones. Switch to the pose mode. Now we can see that some of the deaf bones of the lower eyelid are offset from the CTRL bones. So we need to remove the stretch to constraint from all deaf bones of the lower eyelid. For the easier work, temporarily open the upper eyelid. Remove constraints from all lower deaf bones according to the video. Now I'm gonna explain briefly because we have already done the same with the upper eyelid. Select the lower lattice and switch to the edit mode. The thing is that after relocation of the deaf bones, some vertices don't correspond to the new location of the deaf bones. That means that we need to check the groups where we have to reassign the vertices. In our specific case, these are the first and second groups. Remove all vertices from these two groups and assign again. Remember that vertices must correspond to location of the bone with the same name as the related vertex group. After that, go to the object mode, select the lower eyelid and switch to the edit mode. Delete all extra vertices of the eyelid line that located beyond the deaf bones. Switch to the sculpt mode, select the thickness tool and holding Alt key, correct the right edge of the eyelids line using this tool. Then, according to the video, correct the eyelid shape using grab tool. After that, smooth all sharp lines using smoothing tool. Go back to the pose mode and assign the stretch to constraint to each deaf bone of the lower eyelid. Disable all bone layers except the CTRL layer. Let's manipulate the controllers of the eyelids to ensure that everything works perfectly. But how could it be otherwise? And now it is the time to correct the left eye. Considering that correction will be done by the same algorithm as for the right eye, next few seconds don't need comments and I set the video on fast forward. But you always can set a comfortable speed and repeat all actions. See you there. Excellent. Now the eyelids are more similar to the reference. But if we open the eyes a little more wider, then we see that the size of the eyeballs isn't enough to fill the space between them and eyelids. and the left pupil has been set somehow asymmetrical. Let's correct all of this. Select the armature and switch to the edit mode. Activate all bones layers. Disable the grease pencil objects related to the eyelids. Right now we are interested in only two bones. They are the deaf bone of the eyeball and citral bone of the pupil. Correct their location by x-axis like it's shown in the video. Switch to the object mode. Select the left eye object and switch to the edit mode. Select all vertices of the eye and align them with the relevant bones. Switch to the sculpt mode. Stretch the shape of the left eyeball using the grab tool. Don't forget to smooth the sharp lines. After that, do the same actions for the right eyeball. Go back to the pose mode and activate the visibility of all eyelids. Now, when we open the eyes maximally, we still see the full eyeball. This is exactly what we need. Therefore, it can be concluded that today's tutorial is more about the importance of accurate designing of characters on the reference stage, and only then about how to correct characters' exterior after a rig has been done. Subscribe to the channel, ask your questions in the comment section, and until the next exciting time.